Hello, hello, my beautiful gente. Hope you're doing well. You are listening to KZAA 96.5 FM LP on Que Madre, this beautiful show where we're talking all about our power, our reclaiming, our healing, our journeys, our leadership, our sisterhood. And it is an honor to be here with the incredible, amazing Siobhan Hoover and with the spirit and the grace of our amazing sister, Ana Rosa Rizzo, who isn't here with us. But I mean, just the foundation of this show is all her. So sending her so much love. We miss you, sister. And myself, Ali Cortez, here to, really promote the reclaiming of our wellness. This is in partnership with Bienestar, CCC, and Warrior Mother. And today's topic is a really, really, usually I want to say it's a hot one, but it's not. The thing is, like, it's not a hot one, but it's one that we must have in regards to the year is ending. That's a fact. And so what does that mean? How do we prep? How do we manifest? Do we manifest? How do we reclaim, what New Year's really is, resolutions. I don't really like that word, like, so and someone that I've admired so much about like the gentleness and the kindness around setting your goals, your visions, your energy for the new year is Siobhan. I've always seen you, like, I've talked to you about like the new year, like you always inspire me. So what do you do? What New Year's coming? What are you already doing? What are you not doing? How do we go about this?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that this topic comes around because I just talked about this in a meeting. But I was saying that everything typically slows down about this time of year, right? Like everything slows down. But for me recently, it's been ramping up. And it's been ramping up in preparation for the new year, for 2023. So I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself and really like just close out this year in gratitude and really taking the time and creating that space with my family and ensuring that I'm enjoying these last few weeks of 2022.
I
So
love that.
I think that's number one is you've got to enjoy your time, and the holidays can be so stressful for everyone. So sometimes if you just need to take a break and take a little breath, that is ideal. Um, but for the new year, you had mentioned it, Ali, you don't like resolutions, right? I hate
No.
resolutions. My resolution is to work out at the gym.
You said it before we started. It's like new year, new me, like new. And it's like, but that's not real, y'all.
It's not. No, you're the same you. You're the same you. You're just going to be more aware or more conscious of your thoughts, maybe, or your actions, or whatever it is. You're the same you. Maybe
Mm,
you're just going to make a few tweaks to it,
mm,
and perhaps there are things about yourself that you really dislike in 2022, and you want to change that for 2023. I think that is okay, or if you've noticed, hey, I really like the way um, I have found, a balance in my work life and my family life. I really love the way I did that for 2022. Then I think that that's something that should carry on, right? But be conscious of it and speak it into existence. So, and that was something that was on my list for last year. So instead of like resolutions, I think that we call it goal setting.
mm,
What do you think,
mm.
Ellie?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, and you know what? I love where we're going with this as a reframe of like new you, new outfits, new habits. New. It's like no, it's about more you, more you. Your clothes, and I love that you're saying it's like you're enjoying. So taking these next like couple of weeks to really enjoy, what is present, the gratitude, and what are you really like we're at different levels of gratitude for things. There's things where you're like, oh, I'm grateful for this. And there's some things you think about and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really grateful for this. Paying attention to those things that really like embody that sense of like light, peace, balance, authenticity of you. And like that's the mirror right there. Like that's you. And so bringing that mirror into next year and it's like really cleaning it, it's like this is who I really am, more of this, more of me. um I know for me that's something that I definitely been, already kind of putting, like harvesting some of the seeds about, like, what are the things that make me spiral, and what are the things that make me feel steady. And so the things that make me feel steady, because, like we said, it's like the world is shifting all over. It's not always steady, but what brings that kind of stability within my own galaxy is
Mm,
what I'm paying attention to, and what I want to, like, really, like you said, it's so beautiful, carry on.
right. Well, I love the picture that you paint with the mirror. Like, just like, let's clean off this mirror, let's dust it off, let's take a hard look, let's carve out some time for yourself,
Mm.
let's ensure that these goals or these practices like get on your list and at the top of your list, which is
Yes.
really difficult for, mothers and wives and working women, and everyone has a load to carry. And so I like that picture that you paint. That visual is amazing. Thank you for that.
Well, I like the mirror because it is like we're always, in front. We're not always, but we're constantly looking for a mirror,
Mhm.
to check. Even just today, I was like, did I put on my cup, like my concealer right? So I was like looking around for a mirror to, so that like I feel like that's a good metaphor. It's like we're always around one, whether it's our, like, let's make sure it's our mirror and it's not one of those, like, fun carnival ones that doesn't reflect who you really are.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, in goal setting,
No, no, yeah. Okay. All right, everybody.
we're gonna dig in.
We're doing this. We're doing this live, and we're doing it together. And if you're listening to the recording, yeah, take out a piece of pencil, take out a paper and a pencil or a pen or your phone, or just, start reflecting on you as we're talking about how to start setting these goals for 2023.
Yeah. And I like that you say that, because when we take our ideas that are in our mind and we put them on paper, it's we visualize it, then we can see it. And there's something, I'm sure, scientifically, right? There's something about getting the ideas out of the head onto the paper, and when you're very specific with it, you're more likely to succeed in following these
Very
steps.
true. Oh, amen. Yes, that is like one of those just like unwritten laws. Like what you think about is what really starts manifesting. So it's just nice to have it on paper so you can read it and just, really chant it out. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going towards, and this is already mine because it's seeking you. That's something that I've learned this year too. But it's like, if it's in your mind, if it's in your blueprint of like your dreams, your goals, it's already yours. It's been seeking you. So it's really a message of like, this is a sense of purpose, an idea that's going to really be, that is for you.
Absolutely. And the powers that be are going to conspire to whatever it is your heart desires.
Amen, girl.
Let
All
it
right,
be.
so let's start doing these goals. What's
Yes.
the next step,
So,
Siobhan?
I would say the first step is getting it down on paper. Okay. The second step, we'll be specific about it though. Not just, I work, with a lot of women at the gym. And so a lot of it is, well, I want to lose weight. Okay. Oh, or, I want to tone up my body. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean, losing 10 pounds? Does that mean a pant size? And I would say, can I just like segue here? If you do have weight loss goals, please do not be married to the scale.
Mm.
The scale is a measurement of gravity against your body. It
Ah,
does not measure your muscle tone. It does not measure your water weight. If anything, go by your body fat percentage and then try to, go after those numbers. I think that's more telling. And okay, so if you lose weight, go by the way you feel. How do you feel? Do you want to feel stronger? Do you want to be more comfortable in your skin,
I love that.
for example? But just get specific about it. The
Mm.
other thing that I was thinking about is setting an end date to it. But maybe doesn't necessarily need an end date.
Mhm.
And I'll say that because last year one of my goals was to have, like I said, a balance in work. In previous years, I would just work myself to the bone, and then not allow myself that playtime with my girlfriends, which we all know that sisterhood is so important and good for the soul. It really limited my time with my children, and so this year I got better. The specific goal was, got better at saying no
Mm.
and
Mm.
not saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Um, because we tend to do that and load our plate up, and there were a few things going on where why I wanted my plate so full, but ultimately I was able to accomplish that goal. I think now that I look back at the year, I have found a way to. I work really hard, I play really hard, I
Yes.
do things, been um it's been quite the challenge though, and especially for me, I've got my hand in many things, and I know you do too.
Mhm. Oh no, yeah. I mean, but like the thing is, like, I love what you're saying because there's two things really, really stand out for me. Like, we're unlearning. We're in a place, thankfully, to really be conscious and receive the message of be more of you. And when you said, like the plate is full and saying no, and it's about your feelings, a lot of our goals have been about what you look like for others. Are you successful for others, right? And you said work hard. When you make these goals, and it's something that I've definitely have learned, especially these past 2 years, is like when you set a goal and you're like there's a dream and then there's a goal, right? The goals are like pieces, like steps to get to your dream. So realistically thinking about like, okay, the deadline can't be in 6 months, girl.
No, it
the
cannot.
the deadline, right? Was like, is there a deadline? Why are we putting a deadline? Right? It's like if my goal is to feel healthy, there is no deadline to that. That's an ongoing thing.
Right.
So I love that because you definitely inspire that in me. I'm like, okay, really, what is it about? What do you want to feel? And not so much about the looks, the
Mhm.
physicalities of it. It's about like our psychology. And I think that's really for me this year. It's like what's gonna keep my mind safe, right? Where am I going to place myself? What are the steps? How am I going to take the next steps? And understanding that when you set a goal, also that I think the part about being realistic with it is because you know that there's going to be something it's gonna take you away from something. When you're intentionally putting your focus and your energy on something, that means something else is not gonna have that energy. So is it worth it? And I think I've set some goals that I now in retrospect I'm like, was it worth it? Right? Was it worth it to like, you know, to put all all this energy here, and the reward was wonderful. I'm not going to, take away from that. But the feeling afterwards, right? It's a feeling afterwards. Like, was it worth it? And, just going back and the memories back where it's like I was falling asleep, at like dinner tables. I was, like working in the car, going to on a girls' field trip, with, my gal pals, and like, I see
Yes.
them like every other, you know, every other 6 months, and I'm like, oh, sorry, y'all keep talking. I'm just working on,
Right. I'm listening, but not present.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that. And you're not, I mean, we're not the only ones, for people out there listening, like, I know that we as a society are so guilty of this.
Mhm.
And, it's like, I'm a workhorse. I know that. But why is that a good thing? It's like, yeah, sure. I hustle. I do my thing. But why does that appear to be an attractive quality? Somebody who overworks, and it's just, um I can tell you firsthand, it's not the way to live. It's not it.
No, it's not. And can I say it? Just I'm gonna say it. Like, do not make other people subscribe to that. I think that's my mission since these last couple of years is to like really like bring more air and more vulnerability to these conversations because I subscribe because I was really encouraged to subscribe to this, to get indoctrinated in this like way of being and perceiving myself and glorifying, myself in that way. And it's like, but this is the long, this isn't the short term game. Like this is the long, like long, and you've heard me say it before in the show. It's like, it's not about finishing, it's how you're going to finish. And I think seeing my parents and where they're at their age, I'm like, they've done amazing. They've done so amazing and their sacrifice has paid off. And I think it's up to me to also give back in the sense of like, being healthier along the journey so that it really was worth it for the sacrifice that they did.
Yes. And in you being aware of that, it's like you're healing your own line. And which most
Yes.
people, don't see that, but it's using your power for good. It's using your knowledge and things that you've learned and seen, and seen it firsthand, how it affects, your family and things like that. And so
Mm.
you know, it's all circular here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I love this. So okay, so we are,
Yep.
we're putting it on paper. We're
Yep.
being realistic. We're really focusing on our feelings, right? Because it's the only real thing we have.
Yeah. Our feelings are so real all the time.
It's so real.
Um, I think that is a huge part. Well, it is the part in manifesting your dreams and your goals is feeling. So when I talk to my clients, I do strength training coach, but I'm also a therapist in a way because everything kind of is released um, while these women are exercising. And I, I kind of laugh. I'm like, oh, I'm your therapist too. Um, but in that, it's like, okay, if you have a feeling of like you're not going to be able to get through it. Your mind is so powerful that it's like your mind gives up before your body gives
Mm,
up. And so you kind of have to have like this mind control over yourself, over your own body. Um and uh so in manifesting, that's what it is about. It's about feeling the feel. So feeling okay, feeling what it's like if your goal is to buy a house this year, okay, and you're taking the steps in the right direction to make that happen. So I can't say just like manifest like, oh, this house is going to land on me. No, you have to be actively working towards that. Let's also be
yeah.
clear about this.
Don't read The
Um,
Secret. The Secret was a great book about like encouraging people and in regards to like manifestation and
right.
but you, yeah, the force behind it is just like, okay, so you're the car. You still need some gas or at least some of
Yeah.
the electricity of your e-vehicle.
Yes. And you'll hear a lot of celebrities too, and they're like, oh well, if you just I just knew I was going to be an actor, I just knew I was going to be a famous singer. And it's like, yeah, but you actively worked hard towards that. You went to the auditions, you did the coaching, you did all these things in order to get to where
Hmm.
you want to go. So absolutely
Yeah,
right.
you got rejected so many times through
Yes.
it too. And I think that's the part about like our goals also. It's like we're gonna fall through on some of the things with our goals, and we get a whole year to just continue
Yeah.
trying.
You get like little tests, I
Yeah.
always feel like they're little tests. It's like, okay, this little boulder is gonna come, roll into your walkway here. And what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna give up on this path? Or are you just gonna push this boulder out of the way and keep it moving?
Mm-hmm.
So I am big on that, is that you will be tested, but to see if you were strong enough to carry through on that path. So again, something like, buying a house. I want you to close your eyes and envision what it feels like. So not just envision yourself in the home of your dreams, whatever it is, but really feel what would it feel like to me if I finally got my home and I'm sitting down in my living room, on the first night, and how exciting that must be, and how much, like, how accomplished you would feel.
Mm.
Um, so I think a huge part in manifestation is really understanding that you almost said it as if it already happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, feel what it feels like as if it already happened. And I think that that is a huge secret. If you're telling yourself, "Ah, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to, get the house that I want. This is really discouraging. I'm not going to do it." Your mind is putting that out there
Mm,
to the universe.
mm.
It's an energy equation for me. It's like, if this is the
Absolutely.
energy that you're putting out, that's what's coming back.
Yes, yes, yes. It's that circular energy that's infinitive, right? Like in your present moment, you're not the homeowner, right? But you're acting like you are already. You're feeling like you are already. And sometimes it's not how you think it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, right? Maybe it's not going to be, in the 6 months or in the year, it's going to be, but it's going to happen. And so I think one thing that I've also learned when it comes to manifesting and like is that power that you talked about in the beginning of the show, which is gratitude. And sometimes we look around and we're like, oh, like for example, let's work with that goal, right? It's like I want to be a homeowner. And if it's like, well, it's impossible, it's impossible. Well, you keep saying that over and over. So it's impossible. So it's gonna be impossible, right? And yes, there are also other reasons why it's not easy to have, a home, right? It's like, there's so much around this, right? But like there's also like when we're doing that, we look around, it's like, oh, where I live right now is terrible. Oh, this and we like really kind of like deplete that energy, that frequency of like, and then we don't, like try to make it feel like it's ours, right? It's like, oh, we'll let that not get fixed or, so like keeping up that space like it's yours already is also kind of generating the energy. It's like you're so ready for this. You're so ready because like being a homeowner also I understand it's like there's going to be things that are breaking all the time and it's on you. The water bill on you. There's so much more responsibility too that comes with that. And then the trash and then the taxes and then it's like just it builds up. So it's like you're prepping yourself already in many ways and it's like walking around like I am a homeowner. I am a homeowner. So that is also going to be like well, as a homeowner, I'm not going to buy X, Y, and Z. I'm actually going to invest it in my, savings account that has like, an interest of 3% rather than 1.2 from like the freaking Chase Bank.
Yes,
I don't think
exactly.
it's even one actually percent. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Know how that goes. Um, my dad used to tell us, it's so funny because he was very organized and neat and everything had its place. And, you'd open up his drawers and like everything, was all in line and folded perfectly. My mother was the complete opposite, right? She was like the messy one and kind of, all over the place. And I've somehow fallen in between both of them, so some days I'm like, oh, who lives here? And other days I open my drawer and I'm like, oh my God, I see my dad in here. Um, but one thing that he used to always say was like, hey, and we didn't come from, money or anything like that, but he would tell me like, you need to straighten up your room and make sure that everything, is clean and I'd be like, oh, wow, it doesn't matter, and kind of huff and puff at it. And then he used to always say, well, when you get rich, then you'll know how to take care of your things.
mm,
And he was
mm,
like trying to speak that over my life. When you get rich, I was like, oh, okay, I heard that. And when that was the narrative, it was like, oh, okay, I'm paying attention now,
yeah.
and so I still, well, now to this day, I tell my kids, um, when you get older, you will know how to take care of things if you start now.
Yes.
And it's the same concept all the way around. So
Absolutely, absolutely, because it'll last longer, you'll cherish things, your
mm,
relationships get better because of that too, relationship with yourself. And I think like for another example, right? It's like if you are in a place right now where like I want to find someone, right? I've been single, I'm ready to mingle, but not just mingle, I'm ready for something more real. Which it's been, some of my friends are like they're like that's challenging. And I'm
yeah.
like, I know it is, it's like, well, what how are you loving yourself? You want someone to come and love you and to take care of you and respect you. Like, how are you doing that for yourself first, right? Because that energy is going to attract much more. But again, in the like, not the new you and the more me, you're really standing your ground there. You're saying, like, oh, this person really gets me. But, it's easier for you to, like, identify or continue a relationship or dating. Um,
Well,
so, yeah, it's that
yeah, the
like, what
more
are
you
you
know
doing?
yourself, the more you know yourself, the more you know what you want or don't want,
Hmm.
will tolerate or can't tolerate, and so to me, it makes it easier
Right.
to kind of weed out. And speaking of that, and exercise that you can do for that, if you're out there and you're looking for someone special coming the new year, write down a list. Write down a list of what exactly you want. And Ali, I think that you're a testament to this, but get specific about it. Get specific. If you want someone with straight teeth and a beard and who can dance, hey.
We laugh because that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I got.
Yes, it is. That's a testament to it. And right, and I was like in awe of you. I think that was when you guys first started dating, maybe, and you're
Yeah,
"Oh, I listed him," and I was like, "Wait, what did
I
you?"
was freaking out. I'm like, on the radio, on the radio. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was freaking out when I met him. I was like, no way. So I think that's another thing. It's like, well, people's like, well, I don't believe in this. Well, it's not about believing in the magic of manifestation. It's
Mm,
about believing in yourself,
yes.
having faith in yourself, and that there are forces there, ancestral energies, universe, like there are so many, yes, invisible forces that are there to like really support. And I think about like I always wonder like what were the goals of my parents? They left everything and came here. And like I don't remember, because I was like one, but I mean just the stories of the little bits that they have shared, like wondering if we were going to eat or do we get shoes, like really making these hard core decisions. And to just think that my mom at that point was like, someday I'll have, a home. Someday we will, not live in this room. We're gonna have our own apartment, and then one day we're gonna have our own home. um that inspires me. It's like she had to have, and my dad too, because it was both of them at the time, like they really worked towards that goal. But that they believed in it so much that even though everything around them was saying, no way or you would ever get to that place, that inspires me to like have faith in myself and like really say that and preach that to everybody. It's like it's not about believing in the magic, because like, ah, that sounds like such,
Yeah, I know. I know you get real woo woo on you guys, but it's and perhaps you're religious, and you can use your religious beliefs. And if you're not religious, there's science behind it. There are forces out there, but more than anything, it is in the power of the mind, and it's like it's within you. I think that you had the power all along, my dear. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz syndrome is like you don't realize how powerful you really are until certain things align, or until you get what you ask for, or someone else might point it out to you, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, wait a minute, yeah, I guess I am pretty powerful. So whatever it is that you believe in, it's just things are conspiring in your favor.
Yes,
And
yes. And talking about that, things are conspiring in our favor. We are so lucky and so grateful to be on KZAA 96.5 FM LP. You are listening to Que Madre Show on KZAA 96.5. And you are here with the amazing Siobhan Hoover, founder of Warrior Mother, and Ali Cortez, founder of Bienestar, CCC, and in spirit with our amazing soul sister Ana Rosa Rizzo, who couldn't be here today, but is with us in the foundation of Que Madre Radio Show. So we're talking about, just kind of gearing up gently and realistically for 2023. We're taking out all the bluff, all the fluff around like new you.
Right. New year, new me. It's like, there are, I think in the last few years, everyone has been so challenged when the New Year's rolls around. So I'm going to read you guys something that I found just to be hilarious. It says, nobody claimed 2023 as your year. We're all going to walk in real slow. Everybody's going to be good, be quiet, be cautious and respectful, and don't touch anything. Everybody, let's tiptoe into this new year real quietly. And hopefully, I think everybody's kind of scarred from the last few years and how it's been for us. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. We
Really
definitely have trauma, like as humanity, as a community, we are dealing with trauma. And so even setting goals, you might be like, I don't even have the energy for that. I've been hearing this a lot with some of my clients and just like other colleagues, like I'm lazy. I'm feeling lazy. And I get shook and I'm like, what? Lazy? Lazy. Let's reframe that because there's so many things, right, that show that you're not lazy. You're just really feeling the heaviness and honoring that. So it's like, it's funny and it's true. It's like, walk slowly in. Right?
And speaking of lazy, it's there's this thing also in our society that is like, oh, okay, well, if you're being lazy, it's kind of like looked down upon, right? But sometimes the body just needs the rest, and sometimes taking a day to do just that and not be running from one thing to the next like I do is so important. The last weekend I was like, oh my God, I'm staying home. I had all these things on my list that I wanted to do, and I just said, I'm just taking a rest day, and I completely relaxed. I binge watched a show. It was really great. And so I think that it's important. If you need to take a nap during the day, I'm real heavy on naps. I'm a big proponent of naps. I think that, sometimes just slowing down and listening to what your body's telling you, it can be really valuable. It's a valuable tool. And to not feel bad for taking that rest, that moment of rest, or whatever it is that you need.
That's a good goal. If anybody's like, I don't even know, it's like, that's a good goal to just, slow down and listen to your body. It's so intelligent and it has all these systems that have these whistles and bells to let you know, like, hey, we got to take care of this. Hey, by just putting on, a little bit of lotion here, you would feel, like $1,000,000. I'm saying from experience because I have dry skin and like sometimes my skin will itch, and I'm just like, but I keep going. I'm like, girl.
You put lotion on every day.
Yeah, like, girl, just put some lotion on.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so lotion is a thing for me. I'm like, does everybody not put on lotion every day? Because I feel like my skin would like shrivel up if I don't.
It does, and so like but it's one of those like how you think about yourself manifests in so many ways. So that's one, right? It's like I don't put myself not even maybe on number 3 on the list. And it's like, and it's gotten so much better. It's gotten so much better where now it's like I have a skin, like I put on my lotion, my night creams and all this, which before I didn't, because I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I was saying truly is I don't matter. I don't
Yes.
matter.
Yes.
And so, yeah. So I think it was last year that I started thinking about how am I going to finish? Right. And it's like, well, I was trying to think about like, who am I going to be when I'm 60, 70, 80, and gratitude that I get to make it that long. Like I want to be someone that has, that can also say, wow, like, I preserved myself by putting on lotion.
Well, and a lot of times I know that it's like a timing thing, right? It's like you just want to hurry up and get through your routine because you don't feel like you have the time or you feel rushed or whatever it may be. But if we reframe that thought to say, um, you know, I'm not a priority, or I'm not taking the time for myself,
Mhm.
it forces you to look at it from a different perspective. And suddenly you're like, oh, well, why am I treating myself this way?
Yeah.
So, one of my goals this year is to be kinder to myself in my thoughts. It's not necessarily things that I will say out loud,
Hmm.
but reframing thoughts that come along, um, I think is something that's on my list.
I
So
love that. I
take
love
care,
that.
there, ladies. Don't be surprised.
It's important. It's important. It's the little things. Really, it's the little things like that, and the messaging that you're constantly saying yourself without verbalizing it. It's manifesting in other ways. So it's important. So little things like that make a big difference.
Yeah. And in that as well is like I truly believe that sometimes we make ourselves sick,
Mm.
with the negative thoughts, the negative self-talk. Couple that with your stress of your job or your children or your spouse. And it can be very heavy and very wearing on the body.
Mhm.
So sometimes, like I know I'm getting older, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, what is that? And it was like I'm so active. Like how is something ailing me right now? But it's something that's in my body that's saying, hey, are you, and then I check in, am I stressed out? Am I sad? Am I frustrated? What is it that I'm feeling? Where am I feeling it? Maybe assigning a color to it, something like that. Real tricky, tricky like that. Oh, Allie, did we lose you? I think we might have lost her.
Okay. All right. So we got it on paper. We have some ideas of some goals, our feelings. I think some just better, I'm gonna say some better goals, what's next after that, Siobhan? Where do we go from there?
So here are my thoughts is actively working towards that goal obviously is important. Like I said, you can't just like think, oh, I'm gonna, find a partner and then never go on dates or oh, I'm going to lose weight and never go to the gym. It's not going to work that way. So actively working towards those goals is one of the most important steps in this. And really giving yourself some grace in that. So kind of like baby steps, like one thing at a time, and don't overwhelm yourself with the how or the why, or don't overwhelm yourself with how it's going to work out. Just know that if you are actively working towards that goal, everything's going to come to fruition. One of the main things here that I must say in setting goals is always finding a way to celebrate your wins.
Oh, yes.
Small victories are a win, and they should be celebrated and recognized. Do we do enough of this?
No, we
Yeah.
do not. In fact, right? Quite the opposite. And I did it myself. So I'm putting myself out there, y'all. I went through my list of like goals, and I immediately went to like, I didn't accomplish this. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And I caught myself and I said, no, that's not how we do this. Not again, not ever. Okay. Not on my watch. As long as I'm conscious.
Not anymore.
From our last episode. Stop it.
With the rolled newspaper on the nose.
Yeah. And I went back and I was like, okay, you know what did happen? What was, and then I immediately, it was a wave, the wave was really uproaring towards like, a wave of, hey, you suck.
Yes.
And then I stopped it, and this is how powerful we are. I was like, bring it back. I kind of hit a little like, what the heck do I do with this? And then I was like, what happened that was wonderful? The glimmers in this really challenging year, right? And then it took a little bit of momentum. It took a little powering up that kind of wave, and it definitely shifted my mood. It shifted the way I saw myself, and it's a good reminder to realize like our own inner power to do that, how we can move mountains and like stars within ourselves when we are conscious and we are intentional about like, where am I going with this, and like celebrating. Our ancestors did it. We can do it.
Well, Allie, you can change your whole days around that way if you continue to express gratitude. There are some times where you can all of a sudden be having a terrible day, right? You spilled coffee on yourself, and you couldn't find a place to park at work, and and you can really spiral with that. But then if you take a moment, you're like, okay, wait a second, the sun is shining. I rocked this report at work. My presentation went really well, and you actually have the power to be like, nope, we're going to swoop it back up this way. And so one thing that I tell everyone, if they can practice, is before bed every night, think about 3 to 5 things you might be grateful for, and write it down. So gratitude journals, and you can do this before you go to bed or in the morning, because in the morning then you can start your day off with gratitude. Hey, that might be an idea for me for this year. Well, wait a minute. Maybe I start my day that way. But really, it kind of just brings your mind to see another perspective on things. It's like, yeah, you can have a really cruddy day, but hey, guess what? You have a roof over your head, you have a bed, it's warm, something like that. In the morning, hey, I woke up. That can be something to be grateful for every single morning. But again, it kind of gets the day started off right. So celebrating goals. So let's say you are, house hunting and house searching. You're trying to be a homeowner this year. And one of the things that you did was repair your credit. Okay, well, how are you going to recognize that? Like, how good does that feel to take one step in the right direction? So feel those feels. Feel proud of yourself. Don't be ashamed if you feel proud of yourself. That's a great thing. And find a way to acknowledge that you're that one step closer to that goal. So I like to celebrate with a little wine.
Yes, girl. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Some a dance party, like, I don't know. There's different ways that people, maybe you just take take an hour for yourself and go for a walk on the beach, that to me acknowledgement of your power and the power within you. So
Absolutely. You totally reminded me of so one of the things, and I think this kind of like puts it all together, everything we've said, right? That being ready for this, the preparation, and not that it has to be a lot. It's just like, the realistic goals, the, focusing on the feelings and more of you. I remember, gosh, well, since I was 11, okay, I always wanted a Jeep. That was like my dream car, like always, 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 and there was a couple of times that I was given, kind of like the opportunity, and I didn't take it for a lot of reasons. And like, and it probably, I just didn't feel like I had earned it and things like that. So, I finally, a couple of years ago, I was like, no, I'm going to get that Jeep. And I got really, I'm going to get the Jeep. I'm going to get the Jeep. I want the Jeep. That's what I want. And I put it on a vision board, and I put a Jeep on the vision board. And, it was like a December, probably around this time actually. And I get a phone call. It's like, hey, come on over, check this out. And I went over, and it was the Jeep.
No way.
And I was like, oh my God, it's here. It's on my vision. It's like, well, it's, it's this, this is how much it costs. And I was like, I don't have that. And it was suggested that I take out a loan, and I did that. I was like, okay, girl, I have to admit, and I have to own it, that I wasn't ready. I don't have a good down payment for a decent loan. I mean, I can go ahead and put myself in a loan. I can really get the dream car now, which wasn't actually my dream car, because it was a version of a Jeep that I liked, but it wasn't my version. And so I thought it through, that conscious awareness. I like, is this really how I want to feel about this? Is this really my Jeep? Or is this just a reminder of what is the work going to do? So through the next couple of years, I put a good chunk in the savings, and every time I didn't go grab lunch, every time I didn't get a coffee at Starbucks, I did a little like, good job.
Yes.
Good job. Okay. Like, it's going to be worth it. Like, picture yourself in the Jeep. I would go online and I would just build a Jeep.
Yes.
And then when I finally had it, I walked into the Jeep store, and I was like, all right, here it is. And it was a whole different feeling, completely much more powerful and much more what I really wanted. Because it's not about the Jeep. It was much more than that. It was more about like, I wanted that. I put in, the work. I invested in it. I dreamt about it. I savored it. The celebration came in like bits and pieces, in the times there I was like, I'm not doing that, and we talked about this in the episode. So if you're joining us right now live, it's like we're talking about like also the things that you do previously to achieving that goal, right? And like the what you put in also means you're going to have to take away from something. So I meant I wasn't really going out a lot with my friends. I wasn't really, I was looking for other jobs, to kind of keep adding stuff here and there. So that goal was definitely worth it, in the sacrifices and the long haul that it took, because it wasn't just like, oh, here it is.
Right. Well, and it was small sacrifices, and nothing that was, hopefully not too painful for you to like. You're like, oh, I can sacrifice a coffee. I can sacrifice a lunch.
Yeah.
A night out.
Yeah.
And to me, like, how satisfying is that now that you like go outside and see your Jeep and there it is. And yeah, visualized it, set a goal, and made it happen. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the celebration throughout it's a journey. Like we keep saying that, right? So it's a journey.
Yes, absolutely. My goodness. Well, it's been quite the journey on this call today. First show is rocking. So everyone out there, if you have goals, write them down, be realistic, be specific, work towards them, and find ways to celebrate. And I think that's kind of it. And kind of the rules of manifestation too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much. We are, at the point of wrapping up our show for today. So we hope that you enjoyed the journey with us, as we spoke about, I like talking about my, the wins, but I also really love talking about the ways that I learned my lessons. So, in our vulnerable conversations here on Que Madre, that's what it's about. We're talking about our healing journeys and how we are gearing up for 2023. We have some exciting stuff coming up for the new year for you all. So keep tuning in, and we'd love to chat with you. We'd love to connect with you. So let us know if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, or you have any questions about us, we're here for you, and appreciate you listening to us on KZAA 96.5 FM LP on the show of Que Madre in partnership with Warrior Mother, Bienestar CCC. And it's been an honor to be with you today.
Always a pleasure. And make those mistakes, Allie, so that you can learn.
Amen.
Signing off, everybody. Bye.